Welcome to PropTech Pulse, the podcast that takes the pulse of prop technology in multifamily. I'm your host, Shelly Robinson, and each week we'll be diving deep into innovations, challenges, and the future of work in property technology and multifamily. From AI-driven property management to blockchain and real estate, we're here to explore how technology is reshaping the way we live, work, and invest in multifamily communities. Whether you're a property manager, a tech entrepreneur, an executive, or even simply curious about the future of living spaces, PropTech Pulse is your weekly dose of insights and inspiration. So let's sync our rhythms and get on with the show. It's time to take the pulse. Welcome to the podcast. Today I have Mary Nitschke with us. Mary, welcome to the show.
It's so great to be here. Thank you.
It is great. You and I actually have known each other for more than a minute. We used to work together alongside each other in different departments at Prometheus Real Estate Group. And I am super excited to talk to you today. Mary, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about your background and kind of what has brought you to this point in your trajectory?
Awesome. Okay, so I've been in the multifamily industry, had the pleasure of working with you for, let's just say, a number of years. But I have been in this industry for 24 and a half years now at this point, and primarily working within what we'll now call ESG and sustainability. When I started, it was efficiency and utility management. Yes. So we've gotten a little hip for the room, and I think that something you know about me, but I think our audience should know this as well, is I'm a nerd in the not cool sense. So it's not about having the best phone, but a nerd originally was described as somebody who has limited or no social skills. So I will talk ad nauseum about sustainability, and so just pull me back when I'm when I've gone too long. Start the Academy Award music, whatever you need to do.
I love it, Mary. One of my first memories of you was when I walked into your office for the first time at Prometheus, and you had a sign and it was like, trash is sexy. And I'm like, who is this person? But you really, I don't think I ever learned more in a really meaningful and impactful way about utilities and really the efficiencies that could be found and had. And I gained so much knowledge in working alongside you, even though you are a nerd. So I like your nerdiness. That's good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, let's kick off the show. I'm going to start asking you what I call future in a bottle questions. So what are kind of the top 3 things you see changing in prop tech in the next 5 years, and why?
Okay. Well, first, when we start talking about prop tech and what I consider prop tech, when I define it, I focus primarily around what might be called climate tech or efficiency technology within this space. And so to really talk about where we're going and where that future is, which I love, I think it's important to kind of talk about where we've been and how we got here. So the groundwork is that we've been debating in this industry since I started if utility expenses are controllable or uncontrollable. And if you look at your financials today, you may actually see them below the line in a category called uncontrollable. And if you think back about this and look at our history, not as an industry, but as a country, in the 70s, we had very passionate debates whether or not smoking was bad for you. And I correlate, are utilities controllable with, is smoking bad for you? It's like the answer is yes. Yeah. So looking back at that, so coming in through that, and then we had our we started playing a few years back what I call the drinking game of ESG, which is if you were at a conference and somebody said ESG, if you took a shot before the conference ended, you would die. So it was this big hot phrase. And so suddenly we got very excited about capturing that data and bringing in the data and whole building data. And so we're getting our hands around that. Where I see this going is we're going to bifurcate it. We're going to take the unit consumption and extract it from that whole building. So we're going to get it sort of anonymized. So it will be, my husband always tells me, don't be creepy, Mary. So we're not going to be creepy. We're not going to look at Shelley's individual consumption, but we are going to understand how the building metabolizes energy from resident consumption and then owner consumption, what we'll call the common area expense, and we're going to bifurcate. So that's one of the things I think we're going to do. The other thing that I'm very excited about, and yes, trash is sexy. It is fully sexy. Waste metering is going to be a thing. So this is the only commodity type that is unmetered today. You think about it, your gas, your electric, your water, all consumptive based. Right now it's in Holler We Trust, which is crazy to me. And if you think about this, the city of New York just purchased and loaded in smart dumpsters. So they're already building in AI trash dumpsters. So we're going to see more and more technology emerge around this waste space. So I think we're going to see that becoming very common. Either owners are going to use it and benefit from it, or the haulers are. But we're going to start seeing more and more of it. And then the last thing that I think we're going to see, our third little magic thing in the bottle, is in-unit demand response. And you're like, what is that? Does that mean that DoorDash comes whenever I think about it? Which would be awesome. But demand response from an energy perspective, this has been something very common in commercial buildings where when it's really, really, really hot, the utility company will actually pay the building owner to reduce their consumption during that peak period. Or they'll do things like they will attach a gizmo to your HVAC system so that they actually truncate the use during that period. We're going to see that happening, that opportunity becoming natural within the units themselves for the residents. So it'll be a unique opportunity where there will be a split incentive for the property owner to offer it and the resident to use it. So I see that that's going to come. And especially if you think about this, the pandemic changed how our buildings and how our residents metabolize energy, because work from home became a thing. If these utility providers are going to shave that load, they're going to have to get into our units.
Fascinating to watch how the response goes with that in the industry, both from owners, operators, and residents. So
yes,
very insightful. And I do think smart technology creating efficiencies, even if it's as simple as the sensor saying you don't need a pickup, right? And you save money, right? I think that alone would be impactful. How do you think this is going to change the way people work in multifamily in the next 5 years? Any changes you see there?
Oh, yeah. And when you say work, I think about the facilities and maintenance teams. So that's and it's not that the leasing teams don't work, because they hustle all day. So, but from a utility perspective, from a sustainability perspective, the backbone of the property is that division. So when you say work, that's who I see in my mind. Yeah. I see some huge benefits for this team. So first of all, I see centralization and podding of resources. That's going to become possible because as PropTech delivers information to us, we're going to know where we need to go. And that's going to actually change things as well, so that AI can integrate and do some integrate into our facilities and work order systems and do some incredible things for us around looking at how a piece of equipment is running. Because fun fact, as equipment degrades or needs service, it actually consumes more energy. Right. So something that's like just dying for a new filter is going to pull more energy to try and get that job done for you than one that's like, I'm good to go. So using that AI, it could actually kick out a work order into our facility system saying, go do the thing, which is going to materially change how we work and function and satisfy our residents. And I think the other thing that's going to be really beneficial is because our facilities teams right now, they are stretched and they are running that property and they're all over the place. They have no idea. If you said, well, what times are the peak times that people are in buildings? They don't know, because all they're doing is running from one thing to another that they need to make better for us. So I think that AI and that PropTech is going to give some insights to that team on what they can do for their run times and schedules based on actual occupancy in those spaces or usage within that pool.
I love that. That's actually really insightful. I can't wait until we take the burden off some of our site teams a bit. You know, they all work so hard. I got my start in site teamwork, you know, and it has just gotten so laden and complex, both from a service standpoint and a technology standpoint. So anything that creates simplification and efficiency and better service is just, to me, like a stellar win for everyone.
I agree. And I mean, and there is the site teams, they do all of this, integrate with all of this technology while somebody is yelling at them. It is phenomenal how emotional housing is. And it's very different in terms of how people are intersected with compared to commercial real estate. So yeah, anything we can do to help these teams. Whoa.
Totally. Love it. So on that note, do you think there is an underrated PropTech solution in multifamily right now? Anything that comes to mind for you?
I think that I think the biggest one is APIs. There are multiple analytics platforms out there. And everybody is doing things in 20 different spreadsheets. And people only see this. But there's all of these great APIs out there, and some of them are open. So I think the underutilized PropTech is the straw. If we could pull these disparate data sources together to create that full picture, I think it would really change how we look at our business. And I think that is the way to do it.
I think that's really wise. I like your perspective on that. On that note, too, on PropTech, what do you think are the biggest challenges in adopting new technologies at multifamily properties?
Fear.
That's a good, that actually, yeah.
I have a friend of mine who used to work for Penrose, and he once said to me, his name is Will, he said, even if the change is going to make things better and easier for me, I will still resist it because it's different.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah. So I think we have to be okay with. I think we have to embrace the fear. I think we have to be okay. I mean, and it's so bizarre to me because we love roller coasters. I mean, and that's an e-ticket ride. That's kind of scary. Oh, right. But when it comes to change, I think that is the biggest hurdle is we do it this way.
I think too, like sometimes people feel like their workload is already so full. Sometimes the fear is this going to make my life better? Or is it going to be something that makes it worse? And I was having another conversation with Stacey Hampton earlier today on another podcast, and she and I were talking about how important really managing change is as PropTech providers. And so many times the burden gets put on change for people without a good plan. And so diminishing that fear comes with being really open in your communication and how this is going to show the value of making their lives easier and simpler and better. So I think you're nailing it there.
Yeah. And I always found as a best practice, and I was really lucky that Prometheus is an amazing company that they let me do this, is I would incubate a practice, measure in 3 properties, create a pilot, and then when we could roll it out, it would be something that was not a chore, that did have the additive value. And I think that's sort of key when you're rolling out new technology, managing that change, is create lessons learned and then grow. You're not done when you sign the contract with the PropTech provider. That is the price of admission. And then it's you got to do it.
It's so true. You're now. Well, how do you think then is PropTech addressing your field of sustainability and energy efficiency in multifamily buildings?
So I think there's a couple of things that PropTech is doing, and some of it has to do around sensor technology, smart meter, pulling the information in, and some of it is frankly technology that has existed for decades that we're finally seeing how to configure to put into multifamily. So that's really so. I think it is rising to the occasion, and the solutions are out there.
That's really good. What do you think? And kind of on the same note, what role does regulation play in PropTech? And do you think regulation really helps us or hurts us? What's your 2 cents on that whole regulatory?
Yeah. And okay. So this is really hot and touchy, which is why I'm so excited to talk about it. So regulation around sustainability within PropTech and in my space, it all has to do with building performance standards.
Okay.
Some people, they call it BPS, and some people, if they want to make it sound like a piece of bread, it's a BEPS. But regardless of what you call it, it is these really onerous requirements. And spoiler alert, let me just dash all hopes of salvation right now, because it's not coming. The current administration is not going to affect what exists today, because all of these regulations have to do at a local level, state, county, city. This isn't federal. And frankly, federal has never been able to set a standard like this. All federal can really do is cheerlead and champion. These are all happening. And so that is going on. What I think that does for us is it creates this incredible opportunity, because it changes the ROI, the return on investment of a PropTech solution, because the fines are onerous enough that they are going to exceed the price of the improvement. So let's look at, so there's 2 markets that people are concerned about, Seattle and Washington, and the fines within the city of Washington are set at $7.50 per square foot. Gross. So it's a big number. And then that property in the city of Seattle is also in the state of Washington, where the fines are $3.50 per square foot. So if you don't comply with both, you get to pay 2 fines, and it's substantial. So if you're looking at PropTech to create efficiency and your owner is going, I don't know, that sounds expensive, you can say, well, hold my beer, because this is going to become more expensive much faster for you if you integrate in those fines in your return on investment calculation. So I think that there is that component to regulation that is going to drive PropTech. The other thing that this regulation does is that in every market that I've seen, they've got the stick is coming, but there's also a carrot. There's also all of these incentives.
That was my next question. Yeah. There's benefits in it as well, right?
Mm-hmm. So, there's a free money, free material to get your property to efficient, because they understand their goal has to do with carbon. But your goal is something else, so that there is that benefit. I also think it's going to create opportunities for PropTech and for owners. It's going to change how we engage with our residents. Because like you look at local law 97 in New York, they're putting their efficiency scores on their building, and they're giving it a letter grade. So the average buildings are getting like D's and C's. So, I mean, you think about if you walk into a restaurant that has like, this is the health score, that you're like,
the scarlet letter of building efficiency.
Yeah. So exactly. it changes the opportunity for us and how we market our buildings. So I think this regulation, because it creates that, not just what's been in our leases historical, which is this is how much it may cost you in utilities, but the benchmark against other properties in that area, I think that's going to change how we engage with our residents. And that's going to create more doors and opportunities for PropTech around resident engagement. Because we can't pretend it's not controllable, and we can't pretend it's not happening. It's all right there.
Interesting. And it's going to be interesting to watch over the years.
Yeah, this will be the first year New York actually fines. So this will be sort of an unusual moment in our history to watch what happens.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what starts to happen with renter groups and retrofitting. All kinds of things are coming up. So this is going to get interesting. Should be lots to talk about over time.
Yeah.
What is your bold prediction? And then this may actually tie right in. What is your bold prediction for the multifamily industry in 10 years?
Okay, so my not so bold prediction, obviously, is that we're going to stop debating if utilities can be controlled or not, because they can, and smoking is bad for us. And then the other thing that I see as my bold prediction is on-demand trash service. I think that with all of this AI technology it is rapidly sweeping in. When I started talking about IoT in containers in 2019, everybody was like, what? That's a thing? And now you go to a conference and there's like 10 different providers. So it's coming in with the same rapid response that smart apartments came in with. But I think that is going to get utilized by cities and providers and owners to create on-demand service for containers. What if your containers were only serviced when they were full?
Yeah.
What if that truck only rolled in at 7 a.m. on the days you needed it to?
Yeah, totally.
That's my bold prediction.
That's a good bold prediction. I like your bold prediction. If you could instantly implement any futuristic technology on all properties, what would it be?
Okay, now this is where I get super nerdy.
You're gonna get nerdy.
If the technology exists today, I would snap my fingers and I would convert all of the gas ranges in our units to 120 volt induction ranges with batteries.
Oh,
so
interesting.
So this technology exists today.
It does actually. Induction cooking is actually quite nice.
Induction cooking, and I've been debating this for years. I have friends that are like, no, gas is the best fuel for cooking, and there's sustainable.
I love gas cooking, I have to say, but I also think induction cooking is lovely. If you like, I just don't like an electric burner,
Yeah. So go with induction, because then you still have that high class, but the 120 volt means that it's like adding an Xbox to your kitchen. So it doesn't require a huge electric upgrade for your property. And because it has a built-in battery, it means that there's like a huge burst of energy when you fire up an electric appliance. So that battery is there. So the fire up happens off of the battery, and then the slow trickle comes in from 120 volts. So it levels it. So it makes it possible on a retrofit.
Yeah.
And where I would do this and why I would do this, and this is why I'm going to say that gas cooking is an ugly baby, is the not fun fact: carbon monoxide. So most of our units the ventilation systems over these stoves are typically the ones that are in the microwave range, which means it shoots it back into the unit. It's not properly, we just don't have the ability to properly vent these things in most construction types. That means carbon monoxide is in the unit. And you're probably thinking, well, we have those sensors. Well, the sensors are actually set to go off when you have 30 to 70 parts per million of carbon monoxide in the air. But the World Health Organization states that anything over 9 parts per million is bad for your health. And it's a 1-to-1 ratio. Every minute that you spend in carbon monoxide that's over 9 is a minute off of your life. So that would be the technology that if I could snap my fingers and instantly deployed is let's save the world. Let's make things healthier and better for people. That's what I would do.
I love it. I love a good induction oven and cooking too. Those are always nice. I have one more question for you.
Sure.
What advice would you give to multifamily professionals looking to stay ahead of the PropTech curve, especially around sustainability and ESG or areas of focus?
It's a fire hose.
It is.
It's incredible, and it's these next few years. I think it's going to accelerate. So make friends. And this has kind of been my
with you.
Yeah, make friends with me. Make friends. So this is what I did when I was at Prometheus. Is I felt like I was sort of an island in efficiency because there was only me in my department. It was I was the department when I started, and so I created a utility management advisory, which you can still find and join today, so that I could meet other professionals who were managing utilities. And that group has morphed into sustainability. I also, when we started putting in electric vehicle chargers, I started the first multifamily user group for EV charge stations so that we could all get together and share best practices, make friends, start groups. Don't be afraid to go, should I start a club? You should totally start a club, because as weird and awkward as you are, people will want to be in the club with you, because we're all having the same challenges around maintaining footing through this acceleration.
When you talk about new jobs in multifamily, and sometimes the industry right now with the focus on centralization is about job contraction, but I think there's job expansion, especially when it comes around artificial intelligence, around sustainability, efficiencies, centralization. So I think, that's a growing arena for people that want to get involved in career options too. So always a great conversation with you, always entertaining and fun. Mira, I just want to thank you for joining us today. It's been lovely chatting with you.
It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Any place you want people to be able to get in contact with you that we should tell them about? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Green Tea, Google. You can find me on LinkedIn or Green Tea Climate Software, where I'm Chief Sustainability Officer.
I love it. Great conversation today. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that wraps up another episode of PropTech Pulse. I hope this conversation has given you valuable insights and perhaps even sparked some ideas for your own PropTech journey. Remember, the future of multifamily is being written right now with every technological advance and innovative solution. So stay curious, stay connected, and keep your finger on the pulse of PropTech. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to PropTech Pulse on your favorite podcast platform and share this along with your colleagues. You can also find us on social media for bite-sized insights and updates. I'm Shelley Robinson, and until next time, let's keep innovating, disrupting, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in PropTech and multifamily. Let's build it together.